I agree that that's happening. It's very hard to get a feel for what it will be. And what's happening to me is that capitalism is failing, not because it alleviates poverty and starvation. I mean, it's well documented the good things about it, but
Yep.
the way power is wielded in Western societies is not satisfying the public. They become more isolated from the public, um, and so the people are unhappy. I mean, that's why there are these
Right.
right leaning leaders, being elected around Western Europe, and of course Trump is an example of that. Populism occurs when people decide that neither party is effective. So they look to
Right.
somebody else that's on in the outside who isn't, and in his case, he can't be bought. So he's even more attractive because everybody else is bought. And so,
Right.
and the same with the third parties with, RFK Jr. running. Third parties and populists evolve because of dissatisfaction with government. And our government
Yeah.
is completely ineffective, partly because of tribalism. But I mean, it's also, lobbyists have the power. They dictate to the representatives how they're going to vote, what the issues they're going to vote on, and how they're going to vote because they're financing their campaigns. The public
Yeah.
is.
I guess if I had any complaints about capitalism, and I'm still a diehard free market capitalist because it's, you know, maybe the best house in a bad neighborhood, to quote Alex Jones, but I think it's the best system that we've had for governance ever. But it's, I think a fault is its corruptibility, or its capability of being compromised, as we see it has been. But as an ideal, as a way of running a society, I think it's the best thing that we've been able to come up with. I'm certainly not going to turn towards, Marxist thinking or socialism or communism as a solution.
Right. And this, it's funny, I quote it in my new book, I quote Winston Churchill. He's the one that said, it's the worst kind of political system ever devised, but it's better than all the other ones, which is basically,
Exactly.
I don't know if you heard that, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah, no,
but
I absolutely,
but the
yep.
point, and I make this point in my new book, the point I'm trying to get to is that never have democracies been challenged the way they are now, and never
Yeah.
have they become as ineffective and isolated from the people as they are now. And
Right.
no point in history has this crisis uh, existed, because there weren't, before the democracies, there were monarchies and dictators, and this type of system didn't exist. There
Right.
were no freedoms and all that. So when you break down a democracy, what happens? Um, the one sentence answer to why do governments collapse is when they fail to govern. But
Right.
what happens when in a modern democracy or postmodern democracy when the government fails to govern? It breaks down, but what does it break down into? I mean, you can't assume that they'll become socialists because, um, and there's a whole story about that that I've written about